Is Dr. Gori still with us?
No, but I can answer with, on his behalf largely. I have been working with him for 12 years. He taught me almost everything I knew. So, if I can help.
Okay, well, he was saying that he agrees with the FDA regulating tobacco in the States. Now, the harder antis agree with that too. The softer antis don't. Apparently, the softer antis are saying it's not going to do anything to lessen the harm. It is even going to make it worse, whereby Philip Morris is going to be very happy with this because he's pushing for it too, because he won't have to do anything with the cigarettes to lessen the harm. So I wanted to know Dr. Gori's point of view on that. Why does he agree with it?
What you are saying is asking a very, very intelligent question. It also requires a very complex answer, which we'll try to keep short and sweet. The antis who agree, the hard antis, are the ideologists, and the soft ones are those on the payroll of Big Pharma, or the other way around. In other words, why are you an anti? Well, you obviously have a problem of, you have to be a sociopath of some sort, to hate the people in the name of love so much that you want an entire category of humanity eliminated. Or you are an ideologist of some sort, probably combined with the first case, and you want the world like you. Or, much more commonly and intelligently, you're paid by someone to do it. Now, those who are on the vast programs that we have heard of today don't have any interest in prohibition. The reason is obvious. You cannot tax what's illegal, and there is no longer need for mega programs to convince the people for not doing it. All it takes is a nice and select police force. Now, the ideologists, however, may agree with prohibition 100% because it's finally what they always wanted. Now, the idea behind the regulation of the FDA is an old story. There was a time when Dr. Gori was the head of the National Cancer Institute on the Research on Smoking and Health. That was after the 1964 Surgeon General report. The program, in fact, started in 1967 and ended in 1980. The idea was to study the cigarette and all its details, including what could be injurious and beneficial and what was not, and to take a safe approach to smoking. Make, in other words, a product that is safer. Very much like you had cars with drum discs. Who would oppose disc brakes? Who would oppose some safety belt, as long as it's not mandatory, to improve protect from the impact? So they studied the cigarette inside out. They studied other drugs too. They studied nicotine. They studied 13 people, of which 3 Nobel Prizes already there or to be. One of them being Watson, the discoverer of the DNA, was on the team of Gori. And they discovered that indeed cigarette and nicotine is absolutely harmless, indeed beneficial, at the doses consumed by smoker. That it protects the smoker against overdose. It is absolutely impossible to OD with nicotine, because you feel bad instantly. At the same time, they discovered that whatever could give an increased risk of cancer would be the toxins, the TARs, the carbon monoxide, assuming in the first place that those quantities are necessarily sufficient to cause the diseases in most smokers. Now, they came up with a wonderful set of recommendations the test was done, the principle was absolutely simple. Since nicotine is harmless and many doses are assumed by smoker, and it is what regulates and stops you from inhaling further, so you go and you stop. The instant you go and you stop, if you have saturated your system with nicotine, the brain in a few nanoseconds tells the lungs to stop inhaling. It's as simple as that. It stands to logic that if you double the amount of nicotine in a cigarette, that is much shorter. So your inhalation is shorter, and you also cut 50% of the tobacco and replace it with swollen tobacco, water vapors and aromas, tastes, and whatever else. The smoker would have basically would be in a position that if he smokes 20, he would actually smoke 5. That the aim was to put even the toughest smoker under the statistical threshold of risk. That was all fine and dandy. The production stuff was done, and then the abolitionists came. And the nicotine was now synthesized and put together by Big Pharma, and so the lobby started, and immediately the program was canned. And that program never saw the light again until the proposal of the FDA, based on the 2002 Institute of Medicine report, which stated once again that nicotine is safe, desirable, it has protective effect, and it should be pursued further. And if you wonder why Big Pharma wants the monopoly of nicotine, you have to read the ponderous 652-page report of the Institute of Medicine of the National Academy of Science of the United States, which is considered the highest medical authority in the world. And there is a complete absolution of nicotine. The idea behind the FDA originally is that of making a safe cigarette once again. Now, a safe cigarette would also put the antis out of business, wouldn't it? Because if you don't kill anybody, if in that particular case you have a safe cigarette that tells you that there is a limit to exposure to active smoke, what sense does it make to talk about exposure to passive smoke? None. Okay? So, many fear the regulation of the FDA of cigarettes with a reason, which could be perverted the other way. All nicotine could be removed. Somebody covered that particular deal, saying that the removal of nicotine from cigarettes is only with an act of Congress. FDA cannot remove it by itself. Be that as it may, we know that today with institutions we have anything is possible. So, in other words, the approach in America is, well, you know, here are the addicts, at least this won't kill you as fast. Let's continue with the anti-smoking campaign. This in Europe could be a little bit more civilized, but it takes some conviction, some consumer demand, and especially that the media, who think they are acting responsible by suppressing something that they themselves says can cause 5 million premature deaths a year, should help us people to have or obtain a safe product that is not going to harm us any more than a Coke or a coffee. And I'm now quoting the Institute of Medicine again. This is all feasible. It's not science fiction, it's not Star Trek. And it should answer your question here on why you have two categories of antis. Those who don't want these cigarettes, and they don't want prohibition because they want to get their paycheck. And the ideologists who don't care about the money, and we had one Gabriel Doyle right here in the Parliament who has forbid on this conference too, that will sell their soul for free for not seeing that little protrusion that comes out from your lips, because I hate it, and I hate it. And it has nothing to do with money. Any further question, anybody?